Okay, everybody, I wanted to take a moment to talk about this Ion Alpha auger I got. Ended up getting it near the end of last season. I believe it was around March or so. Saw a sale on it and picked it up, a gift from my girlfriend Emily and my brother Blake. Very generous of them because these things are quite expensive. But didn't want to talk about too much before I used it a little bit and had a little better feel for it. So we'll talk about it today. I got the 10-inch steel, and I also have an extension for it as well. But I did go with the 10-inch just because up north on Lake Athabasca for lake trout and all that, you get some pretty big fish in that larger hole. What is it? Like a 10-inch hole is, I think, 33% bigger than an 8-inch hole, something like that. Can make it a lot easier landing those big fish, especially in that deep ice that you have to pull them up that long hole. So 10 inch is the way to go for me. The reason I went with the steel as opposed to the plastic or polycarbonate is I had read some reviews where the tips will actually come apart from the polycarbonate base, and then of course they won't center and won't dig properly. So I don't know, that might be an isolated issue that you know, somewhat rare to occur, and maybe even something that Ion has corrected. But I did hear about happening, and with the distance I have to travel to go up on that lake to fish and everything, I really didn't want to mess around with that possibility, especially when the savings is like a few pounds, which I admit can be significant if you're running around with one of these things in your hands a lot. Generally, I'm not digging a lot of holes, and it's mounted on my snowmobile. So the weight wasn't a huge issue for that. For a huge gain when it comes to choosing the polycarbonate over the steel, I would prefer maybe the potential reliability of the steel. That being said, this is significantly lighter than other augers I've had in the past. Way back in the day, the Jiffy gas 2-stroke, and then more recently my Eskimo P1 propane 10-inch auger, which I still have and really like, has great torque, works awesome. So it is lighter than those by several pounds, which is nice walking around with it. This has the 40 amp hour battery, so I've only charged it like initially when I first got the battery, do the charge up on it. I think I charged it before I put it away at the end of last season, and maybe like near the end of summer I checked it and put a charge on it. But that's it. It seems to last really well, and you'll hear other reviews talk about that where guys go almost like the whole season. For me, like, I'm not digging a ton of holes, not chasing like schools of panfish around or anything like that. So at most in a day I maybe dig 3 holes, 4 holes at most, and that's it. So plenty for this power. Haven't noticed it be affected by the cold. I have taken precautions, like take it inside the shack, not leave it outside for any extended amount of time or overnight or anything like that. So that probably helps, but it does seem to be quite reliable and hold a charge quite well, which is nice. This one has reverse as well. Well, I think they all do, but has that reverse, which is nice to clean out the slush, and I probably have some footage of doing that as well that we can clip in there. It does do a pretty good job of cleaning out most of the slush. Last year or last season, I did encounter issues when I was in the deeper ice using the extension, you know, that 36 inches plus of ice, of having this dig. I was a little concerned about it, to be honest. It wasn't quite digging like as advertised or as I've seen in other videos or commercials for it, which sort of concerned me. I wonder if it wasn't the type of ice I was on, because I was having other issues with that ice as well, like digging in tent pegs and stuff like that, having a lot of trouble with that as well. So I don't know, might have been something with the ice. It was really rough up on the lake last year with it being dry. The snow was very dry. Whether that somehow affected the quality of the ice or how it dug in, maybe it was just the thickness of ice, because it was very thick. I've used it a few times this year or sorry, this is my second time out, but I've dug more than a few holes with it in the 2 trips that I've taken now. And through ice that's 17 inches today, 13 inches the other day, no problem. Like now it's working as I've seen advertised, and with other users of it, which really impressed me how fast it digs that way. And the other thing with it is it's just so quiet, like digging inside the shack. It's like super quiet, no fumes to deal with. Like there's, it's really like trouble free. It just, you press a button and it goes, which is after you've used gas augers or propane augers and all that, you know, you got to prime it, you're pulling on the cord. Sometimes it starts, sometimes it doesn't, depending on weather conditions, spark, whatever the situation may be. But with this thing, you put the battery in, you got to charge, and you just press a button and go. Now, battery power does seem to be the way of the future. I'm a little bit mixed feelings about that on many issues, but we won't get into that today. But for things like this auger, it is pretty awesome. That being said, I still have the propane auger. I'm not going to get rid of that. I need to have a backup just in case something goes wrong. Because with this auger, it's completely enclosed. Like if something goes wrong with it, there's not a whole lot the end user can do with it. I've heard some people having to change out like I think a circuit board or something like that you can get, or some part with it when there's an error. But generally speaking, like if it goes down, you're kind of hooped, and then you have to find out how good a warranty system you got backing it up. Anyway, I'll put the battery in. It's pretty easy. It just plugs in here, slides in there, turn the little knob at the top, quarter turn, and that locks it in, and you're good to go.